Hi everyone! We'll give folks just a minute to join. So glad to see you today. Thank you for joining me again for this installment of Manda Made. I think I've got the volume figured out this time, so yay. Thank you for the feedback last time, and again, thank you for joining. Really excited to share with you what I've been up to for the last month since we last checked in here. I've got the dog and the cat here in the studio, as always, right here. So you might hear a little happy purring, but good to have a trusty studio assistant. Um, and yeah, I hope you've had a lovely February and that you've been inspired to sew some things or not, and you've organized your sewing space, or maybe you've added to your fabric stash. Whatever you've done, I hope it has inspired you and been creative and fun and gotten you through what's turned out to be kind of a cold, dark month. Definitely cold here in Colorado. We're in the single digits, and it is. But it doesn't mean that I'm not thinking about spring, because I'm thinking about spring. We'll get to that a little bit later. Um, and yes, Gus is the perfect office cat, although I do have, unfortunately, I just put on chapstick and then the cat came in for kisses. If you have a cat, you know how that goes. Let's get started. If you noticed from the kind of cover art, I had an accidental theme this month, and it was green. And if you know me from Instagram, you know that my handle is Pop of Neutral, and I am definitely a neutral lover. I love black, blue, tans, but definitely occasionally have a little run with a color. Sometimes it's orange. This time it happened to be green, and I do think I know what kicked it off. In addition to working with Meg, who is a total green lover, and that definitely rubs off on me. But I definitely have been making a lot of green things. And the first thing that I wanted to share is probably the most uncharacteristic thing that I've made in a while. But you know what? It's fun to do that every once in a while. And that is the Frisco skirt. If you're on our channel, you know that that is our next sew along for Sew News. It's live. You can get the pattern at sewdaily.com. You can watch all the videos here, and I kind of walk you through that process. But it's a great spring skirt. And for that, I picked this, again, really uncharacteristic fabric. It's green, it's floral. There are multiple colors in it. I think I even used orange buttons. Who am I? But it turned out to be the perfect fabric for this skirt. This skirt is definitely good with drapey fabrics, lighter weight fabrics, so which means that I probably won't be able to wear this until a little bit later in the spring. But I really do love this skirt, and again, as uncharacteristic as it is, I'm really loving this color. And this is a current fabric, so if you like it, it's available now. This is a Lady McElroy. I believe it's a chalet lawn. It's definitely drapey, it's definitely lightweight. This skirt has French seams and buttonholes, and that was a nice little challenge. I don't tend to, I like sturdy, kind of more structured fabrics, so it was nice to kind of have a little bit of a challenge, and have to sew it on camera and make it look nice and pretty, but it worked out really well. And again, I think I'm gonna wear this skirt and be all colorful and floral. Continuing on with the green theme, this was a bit of a surprise. It probably shouldn't be, but I have made 3 Aster blouse hacks now, and this is the Aster blouse is a pattern from Colette, and it's actually quite a bit of an older pattern, but I love it. And I love to make it with a little bit fuller sleeve, which I usually borrow from the Roscoe blouse, which is, I'm wearing one of bazillion Roscoe blouses today. And I used a green iCat, and I love this hack. And I was thinking, it was interesting because I think that this hack has actually become a TNT for me. And I think that maybe that's the first time that's happened. I have made this blouse several other times. The first one was with a drapey print from Joanne. Again, you can see the v-neck of the Aster blouse with the fuller sleeve of the Roscoe. And then I also made it in a solid linen. And this shirt in particular is something that I wear all the time. And it came in handy when I had to make an Inigo Montoya costume for Halloween. My family did the Princess Bride, and this was the perfect shirt under blouse. So very versatile. I can attest to that. There's probably not a picture of that costume on my feed, but maybe I'll pop it in my stories and share it. It was probably my best Halloween costume ever. So yeah, this is, again, it's become a TNT for me. I had a lot of fun, as always, picking buttons, which you guys know I love buttons. These are vintage buttons. You can't really see them here. There's a better picture in my Instagram feed. But these are vegetable ivory buttons that I have had in my stash since 2011. Quilt market. I went to Houston. There's a woman, I think she comes there regularly, and she has just a ton of beautiful vintage buttons. And I've been waiting for the right project to use these buttons on, and this was it. And I'm so happy. Side note, the first time I wore this shirt, one of the buttons popped off, and I luckily found it and was able to sew it back on. But you know, always interesting when you're wearing your handmade garments. Button is back on, everything's good to go, and we're moving on. But I do really love this Aster Roscoe blouse hack. Love a good hack. One of the other new green things I made is something I actually haven't even shared yet on my Instagram feed, largely because I have been wearing it non-stop. I am a thermal knit lover, and I'm also a lover of the Linden sweatshirt pattern by Grainline Studio. So I combine the two. Now, the Linden is made for sweatshirt fabrics, so it is with the thermal knit, which is quite a bit thinner. It's got a bigger, kind of drapier feel. It's definitely oversized, but I kind of love that for this. I also cropped the bottom and skipped the hem band and just serged that edge. And I'm finding that as I'm kind of exploring my athleisure kind of style, that I'm really gravitating towards just serged edges, not turned over or not turned under, not hemmed. I really kind of like that visible stitching. So so that's what I did here. It works really well. It's slightly cropped, which is great for, you know, leisurely athletic adventures like, you know, roller skating. Here is another pic of it. You can see this texture just a little bit more closely, and I love this color. I'm definitely in the more muted end of the spectrum when it comes to green, and this one just turned out so well, and I've been wearing it nonstop. It's very casual. I feel like when you work with thermal knits, they tend to end up looking kind of casual, but I'm okay with that. And again, I've been wearing this non-stop. I think kind of a starting point was that I realized I didn't have a lot of long sleeve t-shirts in my wardrobe, and I love long sleeve t-shirts. They're just the perfect layer for anything really, but definitely in the cooler months. So that's kind of where this project started, and it's really kind of become an instant favorite for me. All right, moving on. That's actually what I made in February. I don't know, I was busy doing stuff, just didn't get to a ton of new makes, but I wanted to kind of revisit green in my Me Made wardrobe, because I feel like over the years I definitely have some favorites. And in the past year, I have made a lot of green things. And again, I am looking at you, Meg. You've definitely been a good influence in that regard. But I do think there's the cattail. I do think that the thing that probably kicked it off was the Wyndham quilted bomber jacket, sew along, that we filmed in fall of last year, and that has just it was live, I think, until the end of January. It's still, you can get the pattern on our website, the Wyndham Quilted Bomber Jacket. But I made this and I picked an uncharacteristic fabric for myself, but I have ended up wearing it and loving it. And this is a flannel, actually, from Riley Blake. And it is actually 2 layers of flannel make up the jacket, and you quilt them together before you assemble the jacket. And I've just loved having this color in my wardrobe. It's like a little bit lighter than hunter green, but this piece in particular was kind of a surprise for me. I didn't have a bomber jacket in my wardrobe, and I didn't really have any bright or colorful outerwear pieces, really. But this one, like I said, I've worn it so much. It's so comfortable, and I really liked having that little pop of green. Again, it's not super colorful, but for me, this is colorful. So baby steps, baby steps. The other favorite thing that I have made in the past year that is green is this peppermint pocket skirt. Now, if you do follow me on at A Pop of Neutral, I went on a peppermint pocket skirt bender this summer. I made 3, which was surprising because I really thought I probably had enough elastic waist skirts in my wardrobe, but apparently I did not. And I remember a very specific moment in the early summer, and this is definitely a Meg inspiration moment. I was sitting on my hammock, and I thought, I shop for fabric in a lot of different ways. Sometimes I have something really specific in mind, and I have to, make it happen right away. Sometimes I, shop around and find the fabric, and then it inspires whatever I'm going to make with it. And this time it was like a bolt of lightning. I was like, I need some lime green fabric, and I want to make a skirt with it. Now, if you'll notice, this skirt is not lime green. In fact, it is very muted, kind of pollen color, kind of exactly the color of pollen, but the lime green fabric came, it was beautiful, and I decided immediately that it was way too bright for me. So I overdyed it with some brown Rit dye, and again, got this kind of muted green color. It's definitely got some yellow tones to it, but I love this. I guess it's kind of a neutral, but it's still in daylight. It's distinctly green, and I love it. And I love this skirt, and it's such a great free pattern. And those pockets, just, you cannot beat them. You can fit so much in them. They're huge. I love them. Finally, I wanted to share with you a set-tacular that I made, and this was actually, I believe, 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. And this is definitely in my green family that I love. It's muted, almost a neutral, but I love this set-tacular. And I've actually I wear these pieces a ton individually, but I love wearing them together because it just feels really special. And side note, I'm kind of missing my bangs. But that was peak fringe bang there, and now this outfit was a combination of the Pagosa pants pattern that we have on SewNews or SewDaily.com, as well as the Antero shell pattern, which is a pattern I developed, also available on SewDaily.com. But as you can see, when you make them in the same fabric, they really do kind of have a unified look, and I love it. I'm so practical. I love that I can wear those pieces individually but pair them together and have like a really neat, unique kind of one-piece look that is still really easy to wear, easy to go to the restroom, all those things that you think about when you're sewing your own clothes. So that is it. Definitely a lot of green in my wardrobe, and probably more than I really realized until I got to this February and realized that everything I was going to make was actually in the green family. So I've made my list for spring and summer. Here are all the spring things up there. You can see that it's a very short list, and summer is very long. I am very excited to sew for summer, and it's gonna happen. It's, 6 degrees here, but I am in the mood to sew a bunch of Ogden camis. Could not pick a more seasonally inappropriate project, except maybe a swimsuit, but I'm in the mood to make some Ogden cami hacks. So stay tuned for next month, and I'll share what I'm making then. I've got a few things in mind, and definitely looking forward to a little bit warmer weather. But let me know in the comments what you are sewing. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear, especially if you're still sewing warm things and cozy things, because I'm so ready to move on, but I probably shouldn't, because we have a while to go before it actually gets warm here in Colorado. Also, let me know if there's a particular color that you are loving this season. I know that green is on the runways. Bright colors are definitely in this spring, but I also feel like this time of year, every year, I kind of get in the mood for green, probably because it's white and snowy here, and I'm ready for a little bit of color, ready for the leaves and the grass to come back. So I think it's probably a thing. I should look back in my feed and see if I can pull out any other trends that I notice year to year, but definitely loving green. Let me know what color you're loving. Maybe we can swap inspiration and get inspired by each other. I would love that. So thank you again. Oh, we've got some green fans and a faux jumpsuit fan. Definitely love, love, love the faux jumpsuit. I have several. Maybe I should pull those together for you next month and share those. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that this has given you something fun to do on your Thursday morning or whenever you're able to tune in. Follow along here. We'll have a lot of great other things coming up later on in the month, as well as fun things on the podcast. We've got so many fun things planned. Definitely ready to get inspired for our warm weather sewing. Bring it on. Thank you so much. Feel free to share feedback. Again,